Hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar looking at software and tech for NetSuite customers. Today's webinar is going to focus on how NetSuite can benefit those companies that are in the software and tech sector. My name's Ross Johnson. I'm a solution consultant here at Eureka Solutions, and it'll be myself that's running through today's session. Now, before we get into the session, I'll just quickly cover the agenda for today. So to begin with, we're going to look at an overview of NetSuite. So this is just going to give some background into what NetSuite is. Beyond that, we're going to then have an overview of ourselves, Eureka Solutions, and look at how we help our NetSuite customers. We'll then look at some specific reasons why NetSuite is perfect for software and tech companies and how that can automate some key processes.
So what
we'll then finish up
NetSuite?
with a
so
Q&A,
NetSuite
but before that we'll do a demonstration session where we've got a live demonstration system within NetSuite to show you some of those key processes in action.
And unlike other cloud solutions that are currently on the market, it has been developed purely in the cloud. So NetSuite was born in the cloud, as compared to other solutions that were previously on-premise and have been developed to suit cloud architecture. So that means that NetSuite is a true 100% cloud-based management system. And with that, we can have one unified database for that multi-company financials, ERP, and CRM. So NetSuite's ERP manages all the core functions, including finance and accounting, inventory, orders, procurement, and CRM, all in the one unified database with one source of truth. Now, what this does is it eliminates the need for disparate systems that stretch resources across the company, and it provides real-time access to data in the one unified system. You can access NetSuite from any device at any time, anywhere. So that basically means that any supported browser can be used to access NetSuite. You don't need any application to be installed on the device, and it is also supported by iOS and Android. So NetSuite is known for the high-class security and privacy that it provides. This has been strengthened by NetSuite's move to the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So NetSuite has an availability commitment of 99.7%, but in reality, the average uptime is far beyond this. For the past year, the uptime has been 99.98%. As well as that, one of the big advantages of NetSuite is that every customer gets an automatic upgrade every 6 months. So that means that every customer is running on the same version of the software, and there isn't any chance of version lock that you get with other alternative ERP solutions. This also means that if there's any additional functionality or features that are added to the system, then you'll benefit from them. They are automatically upgraded every 6 months. Now, all of these combined have resulted in over 29,000 customers currently using NetSuite. Now, as well as showing the sort of buy-in from customers across the world in various different industries, it also provides NetSuite with various learning opportunities to make sure that the leading practices that NetSuite recommends are from industry leaders across the world. Now, this is just a slide showing the sort of database structure of NetSuite. So as mentioned, NetSuite is one unified database. So it allows companies to make use of multi-subsidiary management, multi-country tax compliance, multi-currency, and multi-language all in one system. Now, we find especially for software and tech companies, it's often part of the growth that they're looking to expand into international markets. So having all of this managed in one system and all of the consolidation in one system is extremely powerful. Now, you'll see here as well the sort of different areas of NetSuite. So we've got the ERP financials, Suite People, which is NetSuite's HR module, CRM, e-commerce, and so on. Now, these are all in one unified database, which means the information flows across from these different areas of the system. Now, beyond this, NetSuite offers a suite success methodology, which I can discuss a bit in more detail later on. And this allows customers to only take advantage of the areas in NetSuite that they require and then grow on their usage of the system in the future. So it might be the case that you're looking at implementing a core financial system and then looking to grow functionality in the future. And that's something that NetSuite supports with that suite success methodology. And as part of the implementation, we would be able to provide a stairway showing how you can grow alongside the system in the future. So just a little bit about us, Eureka Solutions. So Eureka Solutions was founded in 1996 on two core principles, those being technical expertise and customer service, which we hold at the forefront of everything that we do to this day. Now, in terms of NetSuite, we provide implementation, development, and support. As well as that, we also provide services for Sage 200 and have our own integration application called Cloud Data Exchange. Now, since 1996, we've grown from sort of humble beginnings. We had 3 staff in 2004, and we now have over 60 today, with the majority of them being in technical roles. We have a mixture of part qualified accountants as well as Prince 2 qualified project managers, just showing our sort of focus on that technical expertise and making sure that all of our employees have the correct qualifications to provide excellent service to our customers. Now, in terms of our customer service, we track all of our support cases using an impartial customer share system. On that system, we have almost 7,000 reviews and counting, and we average 9.7 out of 10 for customer satisfaction, just showing that we still hold that customer service closely to us today. In terms of our growth, we have experienced consistent growth in terms of revenue, customer base and staff since our foundation in 1996. Now, as a NetSuite partner and solution provider, we have had a lot of awards for our implementations and for our support of our customers. So we started with NetSuite in 2012, and you'll see there that we were awarded the EMEA New Partner of the Year for our first year implementing NetSuite. You'll see to this day we've grown, and we have now implemented over 90 NetSuite projects. So we're getting close to that 100 mark just now. Now, in the previous year, we received NetSuite's 5-Star Partner Award, which is the highest level of award that NetSuite provides, just showing the value that we bring to our customers, that we bring onto NetSuite's platform. And as well as that, in 2021, we received the NetSuite UK Best Performing Partner Award. So this is just a quick overview of some of the tech and software companies that are currently using NetSuite. Now, we've got a mixture here of sort of household names that are software and tech companies that have used NetSuite to fuel their growth, as well as some of the customers that we are very proud to work alongside. Now, I won't go through all of these customers, but if there are any there that you're interested in, then please feel free to get in touch after the webinar, and we're happy to discuss how we help these customers implement NetSuite. Now, just a couple to highlight. We have got the school bus. Now, the school bus helps school leaders, teachers and governors with guidance and policies in the education sector. They operate a software as a service module, so they found that subscriptions were previously manual in terms of tracking those on spreadsheets, which might be something that you're experiencing at the moment. So we got them up and running on NetSuite, and we used the revenue recognition functionality that is within NetSuite to automate that process. Now, that's something that we're going to go through during the demonstration part of today's webinar, so that's something that I can come back to for that functionality. Another one to highlight is Dogmatics. Dogmatics are a scientific informatics software and service company, and they focus on driving the automation of laboratory workflows of discovery and innovation. So they looked at implementing NetSuite, and we implemented NetSuite for them to allow them to cope with their high growth aspirations and to help them consolidate the financial management of subsidiaries across the UK, US, Australia, and also assist them with opening up a new subsidiary in Japan. And going back to the unified system, all of these run within the one unified system of NetSuite. This project also included revenue recognition, as well as looking at multi-dimensional analysis for the core finances, as well as integrating with their established CRM system, which was Salesforce. Now, in terms of that, we used our own application, Cloud Data Exchange, which focuses on integrating NetSuite with other third-party systems. So you see here, we've got a range of different connectors for NetSuite and various third-party systems, including Salesforce, as mentioned, Shopify, and other e-commerce systems there. Now, beyond that, we can also extend the system. So if integrations are a requirement, then we can look at other third-party systems and set up a direct API or flat file integration with those. So I touched on this a bit previously. So this is NetSuite's Suite Success methodology. So NetSuite focuses on implementing as much out-of-the-box features as possible. Now, these out-of-the-box features are based on the industry-leading practices from the over 29,000 customers that currently use NetSuite. Now, what this Suite Success methodology focuses on is offering pre-built functionality. So you get user roles, dashboards, reports, KPIs, and process workflows all out of the box. Now, there are different Suite Success editions. The one that we're going to be focusing on today is NetSuite's Suite Success Software Edition, which focuses on bringing those KPIs that are relevant to software companies. Now, the main advantage of the Suite Success methodology is that there's a quicker time to value. So instead of looking at a big bang implementation, Suite Success looks at implementing across a stairway. So we expand on the initial phase over time. And this is something that we can help recommend in terms of steps to make sure that there's no scope creep for that first phase. So why NetSuite for software and tech companies? So as mentioned, that Suite Success methodology, there is pre-built software functionality that's particularly focused on software and tech companies, making sure that you get that return on investment as quickly as possible when you choose NetSuite. Now, beyond that, the system is flexible and scalable. So in terms of flexibility, as mentioned with the Suite Success methodology, you only use the modules that you require, and you can grow your usage of the system over time. Now, as well as that, NetSuite is scalable. You'll have seen on some of the slides there on our customers and other NetSuite customers that global organizations use NetSuite, and you can really grow alongside the system. So NetSuite is also configurable and customizable, so it's easy to extend usage of the system and integrate with third-party systems as well, which we are often the partner of choice for doing using our Cloud Data Exchange application. So something that is extremely important for the growth of software and tech companies is international expansion, and NetSuite supports that multi-company, multi-country and multi-language functionality, and really takes the pain out of consolidation up to the parent level of the company. Now, beyond that, NetSuite provides real-time visibility through different dashboards and KPIs. Now, these do come out of the box as well, including SaaS metrics, which we can touch on during the demonstration, but these can also be personalized as well. So the dashboards that you'll be seeing today can be changed by the user to make sure that they're getting the information that they need in the format that they want. So as well as that, NetSuite automates key business processes. Now, this includes the procure to pay process, order to cash process, and so on. But today we're going to be focusing on the revenue recognition process, something that we've found that software and tech companies specifically struggle with and often have manual processes in place. So NetSuite allows this process to be automated to allow employees to add value to the company instead of following these previously manual processes. So all of these different advantages of using NetSuite for software and tech companies contribute to this here. So you'll see here, this is looking at NetSuite across the tech IPO market. So this is just showing how many tech companies do choose NetSuite as their system of choice, with 63% of technology IPOs in the past 10 years being NetSuite customers. Now, beyond that, just looking at some of the tangible benefits of what NetSuite provides. Now, this is a third-party research that NetSuite commissioned from SL Associates, just looking at different NetSuite customers and the benefits that they realised from using the system. You'll see here that there's massive gains in terms of the visibility and actionable insight, increasing between 50 and 80% across customers, as well as looking at stuff like the time to close financial books, reducing by between 30 and 55%. So this is just showing some more tangible benefits of what NetSuite can do for your company by automating these key processes and bringing all of that information into one system. So that's us finished with the slides for just now. So we'll just go into a demonstration account just to show you some of the functionality that's available for software and tech companies. So everyone can see my screen that I'm sharing just now. So you'll see here that we are in a Google Chrome browser. As mentioned, NetSuite is a true cloud product, meaning that it can be accessed from any supported browser. Now, if we come up here to the top right-hand corner and just log in here, so we'll just log into the demo account that we've got set up for today. So as mentioned, this is a NetSuite Suite Success Software Edition, and we can go through what that means in a moment. So you see here, once we log into NetSuite, we're greeted with NetSuite's landing page, which is the home dashboard. Now, this home dashboard can be configured and tailored to the user's requirements, and we can go through how you do that in a moment. Now, just to highlight to you, up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see here that we're logged in on the CFO role here within NetSuite. You'll see just some of the different roles that come out of the box here with the software edition. Now, these roles can be tweaked as well to change the permissions that these users have access to the system. So you'll see here from NetSuite, we've got our global search bar at the top here. Now, what this global search bar allows us to do is basically just search for anything that's in the system. So say, for example, we're looking for a certain invoice, then we can search that in here and get direct access to this here. So it really is that sort of Google-like search functionality, just allowing you quick and easy access across the system. Now, beyond that, you can navigate through NetSuite using the sort of traditional menu structure that we've got here, which you'll see here has got drop downs to different areas of the system, which are all determined by the permissions of this CFO user here. You also see here that we've got our recent records, in this case providing access to recent journal entries that this user has been in, as well as our shortcuts tab here, where you can set up shortcuts to different pages and reports in the system for that quick and easy access to areas of NetSuite that you use on a regular basis. Now, coming down to the home dashboard itself, you'll see here that we've got different sections called portlets within NetSuite. Now, these sections can be moved around depending on preference. So say, for example, we wanted these reminders here front and center of the screen, we can move them here using that drag and drop functionality. Now, beyond that as well, we can also personalize the home dashboard to add and remove different sections here, just to make sure that the user has the access to the information that they require for their day-to-day job. Now, you see here on the left-hand side, we have a reminder section set up. Now, this reminder section allows that actionable insight into areas of the system, making sure that we highlight actions that need to take place. So you see here, we've got a couple of different examples of what the CFO might need access to. So we've got different approval processes, which are all inbuilt into the system using process workflows, as well as some more sort of detailed reminders here. So looking at any sort of high level invoices over 50 or £100,000 in value, and making sure that we've got the visibility of them on our home dashboard as soon as we log into the system. Now, these reminders also do come out of the box, and we can also create custom reminders in the system as well. So if there's any information in the system, we can create a search for this and pull that across onto the home dashboard in the form of a custom reminder. Now, you see here as well how easy it is to set up the reminders that we've got here. Once again, it's the simple drag and drop functionality to select the reminders that we want on our home dashboard. Now, beyond that as well, we can also set up different highlighting rules to make sure that we're bringing attention to any important reminders that we've got there as well. Now, coming across to the KPIs, for the CFO role, we've got our KPIs just looking at general finance across the entire business. So you see here the visibility that this gives into our different KPIs here, looking at things from revenue to our expenses, payables, and so on, as well as being able to compare this against our previous date range. You also see here as well that we can see our change, and we can also select KPIs to provide this trend graph here as well. Now, as with the reminders, these KPIs are easy to set up and configure. And you also see here as well that we have the option to add custom KPIs. So as well as the standard ones that come out of the box, we can also create custom ones as well. So just moving on to the right-hand side, you'll see that we've got some Kpi meters. So this is just a way to visualize this information here. Now you also see that these figures are drillable, which we'll come back to in a moment, but you can drill down into the different reports that these figures come from, so that if there's any information here that needs to be interrogated, then we can get into that level of detail just from a click of the button from the home dashboard. Now scrolling down, we've got a couple of different options here on how we navigate through the system. So we've got tiles set up, just providing that quick and easy access to different reports in the system, as well as our navigation shortcuts here, which once again is just a different way to navigate through NetSuite. Now, whether you're using the global search, the traditional menu structure, the tiles, or the navigation shortcuts, you can still get to the same areas of NetSuite. That's just user preference on how you wish to navigate through the system. Now coming down here, you'll see some trend graphs that we've got set up here, just to show how we can visualize data in the system. Just going back to that actionable insight and visibility that NetSuite brings to customers. So you see here, we're just looking at our income versus expenses, just looking at two different KPIs plotted across the previous year, just allow us to see if there's any trends there. You also see here as well that we've got the option on how we wish to view this information, which we can do at a click of the button, as well as being able to pull this out of the system. So if we're looking to create any board reports, then we can bring this information directly out of NetSuite using the export functionality here. Now, as well as the other sections that we've discussed, these are extremely easy to configure. So you see here that we can look at the different KPIs that we're displaying on this trend graph, and we can also choose to compare this against other ones here as well. Now coming across to the right-hand side, you'll see here that we've got a simple bar graph here looking at new customers versus existing customers. So this is sort of drawn on that CRM functionality that we've got in the system there. Now back to the left-hand side, you'll see that we've got another bar graph, this time looking at our new business versus renewal versus upsell. Now this is an example of a report snapshot in NetSuite. So you can create reports using NetSuite's report builder and then visualize that data on the home dashboard here as well. Now creating reports and save searches is something that we would provide training on as part of the implementation on NetSuite to make sure that the core users are able to create those reports on different areas of the system. Now coming down here, as mentioned, with the software edition of NetSuite, we get key software as a service metrics that come out of the box with this edition. So you see here, we've got visibility across various different SaaS metrics across the entire company, looking at stuff like our total contract value here, our annual recurring revenue, as well as our churn rate and our lifetime value of our customers. Now you see here, being a demo account, there are some figures that are missing here, as there's not a full range of data. But I hope this shows just the visibility that NetSuite can bring across these different metrics, as well as once again being able to export this out of the system. Now you also see here as well that these are drillable, as well as being able to see the different calculations that are going on to create these metrics. And once again, we can also create any custom KPIs or metrics that are required in the system. Now coming down here, once again, just another example of how we can visualize data on our home dashboard. And then finally, our Subsidiary Navigator here at the bottom. So as mentioned, NetSuite is one unified system for all companies and all entities that are part of the group structure. So we really bring all of the different entities that are operating all into the one core system. Now, something that we find is that customers that are using legacy systems and other ERPs and financial systems struggle with the consolidation, which is something that NetSuite is particularly strong on. So right now we're looking at our parent company. So we're looking at our consolidated level across the entire organization. But you'll see here, if we click on our different subsidiaries, then our home dashboard refreshes, just looking at that individual context. So by clicking that and looking at the Netherlands entity, You'll see here that all of our figures and KPIs have updated, as well as changing into our transactional and functional currency for the Netherlands here. So you'll see that it's changed to euros. Now for the consolidation, that all automatically exchanges into our GBP for our parent company, just showing the power of the consolidation within NetSuite. So scrolling back up to the top of our home dashboard, as mentioned, all of the figures in our KPI section here are all drillable. So for example, our revenue, if we look to click through into that, now just using that browser functionality, you can see that we can open that in a new tab while still working away in our home dashboard here as well. So by clicking on that, that's opened up our profit and loss account for this demo company. So you see here on the left-hand side, we have got our sort of chart of account structure here. Now, NetSuite's leading practice is to keep the chart of accounts as streamlined as possible and use classifications to report and provide that for the level of slicing and dicing. That's something that I'll go through in a moment and discuss how that would be set up within NetSuite. Now you also see here as well that these figures are also drillable, so we can get down into the invoice level of detail from a couple of clicks from our home dashboard. So you see here, once again, using that browser functionality to open in a new tab so that we can continue looking through these different invoices. That's taken 3 clicks from the home dashboard to get all the way down to the invoice level of detail to see what's really making up those figures that we're looking to interrogate. Now you see here, just going through, we've got all of our different invoices that make up that figure, as well as the invoice that we've opened up here in that separate tab. Now you can start to see here how the sort of classifications that we use in NetSuite are tagged on transactions, but that's something that we can come back to in a moment. So just back to our profit and loss account here, you'll see that we've got a lot of different options on how we visualize our reports and how we filter the data that's being displayed here. So if we just change the period here, we've got a lot of different options to choose from, as well as being able to choose a custom date range here as well. Now for this demonstration, we'll just roll this back to the previous fiscal year to make sure that we've got enough information to visualize in this P&L. Now, as mentioned, NetSuite recommends using a streamlined chart of account and using classifications for further slicing and dicing. Now, there are 3 classifications that come out of the box with NetSuite, and they are department, class, and location. Department tends to be used for cost center analysis, whereas class tends to be used for looking at revenue streams and profit centers. And finally, locations tends to be used for either physical or virtual locations across the company. Now, beyond these 3 classifications, we can create an unlimited number of custom segments as well. So if there's anything that you need to report on or anything that you're looking to slice and dice data on, then we can add those custom segments as part of the implementation. Now, just to show you how that would be used in practice, we'll just refresh this using our class as our revenue streams. Now, you'll see here, this is broken down our P&L based on our classes that we've got set up in the system. Now, you see there are some extra ones in this demo account. So we can use these filters just to filter out the different classes that we're looking at here. So say, for example, we just select some of these. Select training and support, click OK, and then refresh. So back in there. Perfect. And you'll see here that has filtered out our P&L, just providing that visibility into different profit centers in our company. So you see here we've got it broken down for our different licenses using that parent and child relationship. So we're looking at our perpetual licenses and our SaaS licenses, as well as our total here. Now we're also looking at the professional services that we provide, so our consulting and implementation, as well as any support and training that we provide for our customers. Now these classes can be set up and configured based on the requirements of your business to make sure that you're getting the visibility that you require there. So if we just reset these filters, and then look at departments. So as mentioned, departments are usually used for cost centers So this just provides that breakdown of different departments, different cost centres across the company. So looking here at some general cost centres, such as administration, marketing, operations, and so on, and just looking at the breakdown of our expenses across these different departments. Now, as mentioned, beyond department, class, and location, we can also add in any custom segments. So an example of that would be our SaaS metrics here that we've added into this demo account. Now, this is just looking at our new business versus renewal versus upsell. And basically by adding in this custom segment, this allows us to tag transactions based on these three options here so that we can track our profit and loss across those different options. So I'll just reset this back to our P&L. Now you'll see across the bottom, we've got various different options here. So you'll also see that we've got the option to customize this P&L. So by customizing this, it will take us to our financial report builder, which allows us to change the sort of look and feel of these different reports. So you see here, we can change the columns and change the way that we're visualizing our report here within NetSuite. So if we just go back to our P&L, just open that up here. So you also see the different options that we've got here along the bottom. So we've got the option to export to Excel, PDF, CSV, and Word, as well as having the option to print, email, or even schedule our report here. So the P&L may not be the best example of a report that we'd be looking to schedule, but just to show that functionality here, you'll see that we've got the option to send reports out on a schedule. So if there's any employees that aren't users of NetSuite, then we can set up reports to go out to them on a scheduled basis. So say, for example, we wanted to go out every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we would simply add our recipients here, entering in their email address, as well as being able to attach a message related to the report that we're sending out of the system. Perfect. So we'll just come back to our home dashboard here. Now, once again, if there's any questions throughout this webinar, then please feel free to use the Q&A function, and we can answer those questions towards the end. We've got some time set aside for that. Now, that's a just sort of high-level overview of the sort of home dashboard and the functionality that we've got there in terms of the consolidation and reporting. Now, something that we find, as mentioned, that tech and software companies particularly struggle with and find quite manual in other systems is revenue recognition. So with the Software Suite Success edition of NetSuite, revenue recognition functionality becomes available to our customers. So if we just change our roles here into a revenue manager, we can go through that functionality in a bit more detail. So you see here, by changing to our revenue manager role, we've got a completely different home dashboard here that's configured against tracking our revenue across the entire company. So you see here, we've got different reminders, we've got different tiles and navigation shortcuts here, as well as different KPIs to our CFO. So this is really focused on our sales, new customers, and receivables here. You also see that our tiles are set up to look at our annual recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue, and any upsell and downsell ARR as well. So just giving that quick and easy access to different areas of the system that the revenue manager would require. Now, if we just come in here, we'll start by going to an item record. Now, for the revenue recognition functionality that's within NetSuite, this is all really driven from the items that we set up within the system. So if we go here using that recent records functionality, we'll just go to our annual software license that we've got set up in this demo account. So you'll see here some of the information that we can hold against the different items within NetSuite. Now, these entry forms can be customized to add and remove any fields. So you see here, for example, there's a couple of fields that we're not using here. They could be removed from the system just to tidy up the forms a bit, and that doesn't require any coding knowledge or anything, and it's something that we would provide training on as well to make sure users are aware and can use that functionality. Now beyond that as well, we can also add any additional fields as well. So if there's any additional information that you're looking to hold against any items or transactions in the system, then we can add fields. And once again, that doesn't require any coding knowledge. So just coming down through this item record, you'll see the different information that we can hold here. So in the primary information tab, you'll see here that we've got sort of basic information on what we call this item, as well as the department and the class that we've got set up. So by setting these up on the item records, this means that any transactions with this item would automatically pull this department and class onto that transaction to provide that level of slicing and dicing of reporting in the future. Now coming down to our revenue recognition section here, you'll see that this is really what drives the revenue recognition functionality within NetSuite. So we set this up on the item record, and then that flows through into any transactions where we need to recognize revenue. So you see here, for this example, we've got the rule to be set up to use even periods and to prorate the first and last period there as well. But we do have a variety of different rules that are available out of the box, as well as being able to create any specific revenue recognition rules that are required. You also see here that we can set up when the revenue plan is created, which is on the revenue arrangement creation in this case. You also see here that we can set up different revenue categories, which allows us to report. So in this case, we've got our SaaS annual category, allowing us that reporting across all items that belong to this category. So coming down here, you'll also see in our sales tech section that we can hold a sales description. Now this can be as simple or as detailed as required, and that will pull this onto any transactions, any sales transactions. So if there's any sales orders entered for this item, then that would automatically pull onto the line item there, but can also be edited if there's any further information that's required. You also see that we've got our billing schedule set up here, just looking at how we bill this item to our customers. So in this case, we've got it set up to be upfront. But once again, there's a variety of different billing schedules that come out of the box, and we can also add any additional billing schedules that may be required there as well. Now coming down to the pricing section, you'll see here that we've got the option to hold a full price book of this item within NetSuite. And we can also do that across different transactional currencies. So you see here we've got it set up for GBP as well as the Canadian dollar, euro and US dollar here as well. So this allows us to provide that price book functionality and make sure that we're holding all the pricing information for our item within the system. Now you see here we've got it set up to be alternate price in this case, but we could hold specific customer prices here, as well as any sort of default discount rates as well. So say for example we wanted to hold a 10% discount, then we could all build that into the pricing here on the item record. So moving across to the accounting tab, you'll see here this tracks the different nominals that we're going to hit when using this item. So you see here we've got a deferred revenue account for that revenue recognition, as well as then our income account here that's all going to flow across to depending on the revenue recognition rule. You also see here that we've got a related records tab, which just allows us that insight into any transactions that this item has been used on. So we can see different sales orders, different revenue arrangements, which we can come back to as well in a moment, as well as any invoices that are related to this item. Now what we'll do is we'll just click one of these sales orders here. So I'll just click this one here to show you how that information flows across from the item record onto the sales transaction to then allow that automated revenue recognition. So you see here we've got a sales order for our customer Cloudworks UK. You see all the information that we hold on this sales order. Now in this case we've just kept it simple and we've got one singular line item here, but we can add multiple line items here as required to make sure that we've got all the detail for our sales order. Now coming along here, you'll see that we've got our term type for this sales order to be annual for this subscription, as well as a start and an end date. So you see here the term started on the 10th of January 2022 and is due to end on the 9th. So it's a full calendar year there as well. You'll also see the billing schedule as well as the department and class. It's all pulled from that item record onto the sales order here as well. So all that information that's stored on the item record all automatically flows through to transactions, meaning that there's less manual entry when we're creating these transactions in the system. Now just coming along to our billing tab, you'll see here as well that we've got that visibility into who we're billing to, as well as the terms that we're billing our customer as well. Now these terms can be defaulted based on the customer, as well as being able to change that on the fly as well for any reason there. Now moving along here as well, you'll also see that we've got our communication tab. So say for example, we wanted to email this out directly from the system, then we can do that by selecting this here and emailing it to the customer email address that we've got on record here as well. Now, once again, just coming back to the related records, we can see any sort of related transactional records that we've got in the system that are related to this sales order 386, which we can come back to in a moment, as well as having that full visibility of the system information for audit. So this allows us to look back at all of the users, pardon me, and all of the changes that have been made in this transaction, so this sales order 386. Now coming back to our related records, you'll see here that we've got our invoice as well as our revenue arrangement. So as mentioned, our revenue arrangement is a separate transactional form that's within NetSuite, which allows us to track the revenue recognition of the items on this sales order. So if we just follow that hyperlink there and click through into our revenue arrangement, you'll begin to see how NetSuite automates that revenue recognition instead of following a manual process of system. So you see here that we've got our source, which is our sales order 386, as well as our revenue element. So every line on a sales order would be a separate revenue element, and we would look at the item to provide the revenue recognition plan there. So just scrolling along quickly, you'll see that we've got all of the information that's came from our item record, including our revenue recognition rule, our start and end date, which was on the sales order, as well as our revenue recognition forecast rule as well there. So you see here that we've also got the default deferral account, as well as the recognition account there, so our income account that we're going to hit there as well, that was all held on the item record. Now coming back to our revenue recognition plan, if we click into this, you can see that we've got our forecast as well as our actual plan. So our forecast allows that sort of reporting functionality where we can look at what our forecasted recognition is across a specified period, as well as our actual revenue recognition here as well in this case. So if we click through on this hyperlink, you'll see here that we have got our revenue recognition plan. Now you'll see here that once again, all the information that we've got on the item record in terms of the revenue recognition rule, as well as the item record here as well, all flows through onto that revenue recognition plan, as well as being able to see that visibility on how much we've recognised to date, as well as our remaining deferred balance here as well. Now just scrolling through here as well, you'll see once again, we've got all of this revenue management plan information that's all came from the item record. Now scrolling down, you're able to see how this translates into journals within the system. So as this item has been set up to be prorated, you'll see here that in the first as well as in the last month, we're recognising a different percentage of the revenue in these periods. Now you'll see here that we've got our journals for the first 4 months here, as well as a plan of what our future recognition is going to be here. So we've got our future amount all the way through the length of this subscription for this customer. Now you also see here as well that we've got the breakdown of the different percentages that's been recognised, as well as the total percentage recognition. So as we have recognised the revenue for April, we're now up at 30.9% of the total value of this subscription, as well as a value of just over £6,000 there as well. Now we also have the hyperlink here to click through into the journal, just in case we want to have a look into how that actually translates into journal entries within NetSuite. Now, in terms of automating the creation of these journal entries, that would be done either on a schedule, as well as having the option to run that process by clicking a button as part of the month-end close process. So if we come in here into our revenue and then revenue recognition journal entries, you'll see here the option to schedule these journal entries. But if we click here into run now, you'll see the options for the different revenue recognition journal entry that we can enter based on our posting period of May. So as I mentioned, these can either be scheduled, or you can come into this screen here and create the journal entries as part of the month-end close process. And you'll see here that we've got a couple of different options here. So we've got the CloudWorks UK one, so the example that we've been running through there, as well as a revenue arrangement for a different customer here as well. Now, if we were to create this journal entry here, this would simply recognise that revenue and flow that across from our deferred revenue into our income account that's selected based on the item record that we showed earlier on. You can also see the amount that we'd be recognising for these different arrangements here on the right hand side. So although all of this functionality and being able to automate this process is extremely important, it's also vital that we get the visibility into our revenue recognition and what we can expect to revenue across different periods as well. So as well as all of the KPIs and metrics that we've discussed throughout this webinar that come out of the box, there are also a variety of different reports that come out of the box as well with NetSuite. So this ranges from our financial reports, the P&L that we touched on earlier, as well as all other core financial reports, as well as, in this case, looking at sales and our revenue reports here as well. So you see here there's a variety of different reports that can be useful for getting that insight into our revenue across the company. But one that we like to use is our deferred revenue waterfall. So you see here along the bottom, similar functionality to the P&L, where we can choose the date range that we're looking at, as well as the subsidiary context that we're looking at here as well. So in this case, we're looking at the UK subsidiary here. You'll see here that we've got a sort of high-level overview of what our planned and deferred revenue is here, as well as being able to view detail on this, so getting down into the individual transactions here as well. Now you see here on the left-hand side that we've grouped this based on our customers, and then we've got the different revenue arrangements that are set up here, as well as that visibility into what revenue we're expecting across the different months here. So if we scroll down, we've got our CloudWorks UK, the sort of case that we've been working through here just now. You'll see that we've got our revenue arrangement 60, which we looked at a couple of moments ago, and you'll see that we've got that figure of £1,666.67 to be recognised across these calendar months, as well as the final prorated amount there as well for our final month there. So I hope that's given some insight into how NetSuite can automate different processes in the system. Now, I understand today we've only gone through that revenue recognition and how NetSuite automates that process. But as mentioned, NetSuite can also automate your P2P process, your entire order to cash process, and so on. And that's something that we would be happy to discuss in more detail if that's something that you'd be interested in looking at as well. Perfect. So just scroll through here. So perfect. So thanks a lot for that. And we'll just go to our Q&A section here at the end. So I'll just double check and see what questions we've had so far. So the first question here that we've got Yep, so we've got a question here about the options to upload a budget for reporting purposes. This is just asked if we can confirm or show that. So I can confirm that there is the ability to upload a budget within NetSuite. That can be done using a CSV, or there is also the option to upload that in the system. There's a screen where you can enter in a budget. Now, just jumping back into the system quickly, just to show you how that would look, as well as the P&L that we went through earlier. Then we also have a budget versus actual report, which allows that budget that's been loaded into the system to be compared against our actuals. So we've got our budget versus actual, just using that tile to get to here just now. And you'll see that we've got our budgeted amount against our actual amount here, as well as the amount that we're over budget and the percentage of the budget that we've reached there as well. Now, these budgets can be entered based on the nominals, as well as the classifications that we discussed earlier as well. So if you are looking to budget down to those different cost centres or profit centres, revenue streams, and so on, as well as locations and any other custom segments that are added into the system, then you can budget down to that level of detail. Now, in addition to that as well, we can also have multiple different versions of our budget within the system. So say, for example, partway through the year, we reforecast and we want to bring a new budget into the system, then we can do that using different budget categories and bringing those into NetSuite for our actual versus budget reporting.